So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these accounts that we identified from the cash receipts journal and the cash payments journal for Chemex, and we're going to post them to our general ledger. Okay, I'm not going to do all of the accounts. I will do a few of them. So what we need to remember is that this information that we're going to post to the general ledger comes from this cash receipts journal and the cash payments journal from Chemex, because we are going to be using the general ledger to summarize all of that information from the journals. So let's start with our balance sheet section. I'm going to just fill in the accounts in the order that we wrote them here. It doesn't really matter what order you do your accounts in unless it is given to you. So let us start with the bank account, okay, because that's what's on the top there. Right, so just take a note here. The format of a general ledger. As I said to you earlier, you need to give your general ledger a title, and you need to split it into a balance sheet account section and into a nominal account section. Okay, your balance sheet account section records all your assets, owner's equity, and liabilities, and your nominal account section records all your income and your expenses. So now we actually need to come in here and write. This is going to be the general ledger for Chemex trading, and we need to write what month it's for. It's for the month of July 2018. Okay, now we're in our balance sheet section. We need to, on the top of our T account, give our first account a name. This is the bank account that we are now going to post. Notice I've got debits on the left, I've got credits on the right. Then take a look at this here. This is the folio reference for the bank account inside the balance sheet account section. B1 means it's the first account in the balance sheet section. This does not mean that all bank accounts forever and ever must be called B1. This is just what I've called it. I've said that the bank account is going to be first, so I'm going to call it B1. This is for later on in the accounting cycle, where you're going to take this information in the general ledger and summarize it even further. You need to use each of these folio references here to say where you found the information. So our bank account. We know from here that we are going to record our cash payments transactions on the credit side and our cash receipts transactions on the debit side. So let's start with the cash receipts transactions. So we come to our cash receipts journal, and we come to the bank column in the cash receipts journal, and we're going to take that total and post it to the debit side of my account. So I start here with the date. The date is July 2018. Okay. The day. Because this is an amount that we are bringing across from the end of the month, it is a total of all of the bank transactions from the end of the month. This amount then we are going to say was posted on the last day of the month, which is the 31st of July. So the details column, this is where we're going to write the contra account. In other words, the transaction that we are recording here in the bank column, or rather in the bank account, where is the other transaction, the opposite transaction, going to be recorded, or where has it been recorded? So we're doing a debit transaction here for the bank account. The opposite transaction is the double entry of this transaction. Remember, accounting is a system of double entries. So the opposite transaction, or the double entry system, rather transaction that pertains to this bank, is going to be where we received this information from. It is total receipts, because we're talking about the cash receipts journal. So we cannot come and write down every single one of these transactions in the general ledger, because that's actually what the contra account requires us to do. We would have to come and take each of these transactions and go and put them at some point in the general ledger somewhere here on the right-hand side, on the credit side. We can't do that, because the whole point of the general ledger is to summarize the journals, and that would in fact be creating a huge amount of work for us. So we're going to say the contra account is each of these individual transactions, but we're not going to list them individually. We're going to take the total, which is total receipts. So over here in details, we're going to write, oh, I've lost my page, sorry. In details, we're going to write total receipts. The folio reference is which journal did I get this transaction from? So it is the cash receipts journal. What is my amount? How much am I bringing across from cash receipts? 30,250. That shows me by how much my bank account increased in the month of July 2018. Now I need to bring the cash payments journal transactions and put them on the credit side, because that means my asset, my bank balance, is decreasing here on the credit side. So the date is going to be the same because it is July 2018. Again, it is the end of July because I'm going to be taking the column total at the end of the month of July. My details, my contra account is going to be total payments, not total receipts. And my folio, where did I get this information from? Which journal? It is from the cash payments journal. Now my amount is the column total, which it's spilled over to a second page here for me. It is 24,940. That is the total amount of payments from my cash payments journal. So what I need to do next is I need to now balance this account, because I'm not going to get any more transactions for the month of July in the bank account. I'm not going to get any more receipts, and I'm not going to get any more payments. Why? Because these two entries over here are already recording my total receipts and my total payments for the month. So now I need to balance this account. How do I know that I must balance this account and not total it? Well, there are two reasons. First of all, because it's in the balance sheet section, that means it must be balanced. Second of all, I've got two transactions on either side of the account, which means I can't just total it on one side. I have to balance it in order to make this side, the debit side, be equal to the credit side. So what I do is I come to the side of the account that has got the biggest total, and that side is my debit side. My largest total is 30,250. You would use a ruler, okay? And I bring that total down, 30,250. Then I must do the same on the credit side. Okay, now, what do I need to put in here? 24,940 plus what will give me 30,250. So you're going to pull out your calculator for that. You don't do a plus sign. You pull out your calculator, you work out the difference between those two, and you will get an amount of 5,310. And we're going to call that the balance to be carried down. Okay. Now, because I have put 5,310 on the credit side, I must also then do it to the debit side, because remember, accounting is a system of double entries. There's my first. Now I need to do a double entry on this side. So I'm going to bring that 5,310 across to the debit side. And now my date is going to not be for July 2018. This is going to be my opening balance for August. So this is this transaction is recorded on the 1st of August, and this is my opening balance. And how I record that in the general ledger is I say this is the balance brought down. And there I have balanced my bank account. Right, so I have now completed the cash payments and the cash receipts journals postings to my bank account. So that is done. Let's look at the next account I need to post across to the general ledger, and that is trading stock. Remember, we're going to debit it with our transactions from the cash payments journal, and then we're going to credit it with our cost of sales transactions from the cash receipts journal. So let's do that. So we're going to set up our trading stock account. I'm just doing different colored pens so that you can see what I'm doing. Don't think that you guys must do different colored pens. So I need to name my account, trading stock. Note that it is my second account in the balance sheet section. So it has been called B2. That is the folio reference. I need to now bring across the transactions from my cash. Let's start with my cash receipts journal. Let me start with my cash payments journal. Okay, so I come to my cash payments journal. I have a column called trading stock, which means that the balance of that column at the end of the month is what I'm going to bring across to my general ledger. I've already worked out that that is going to be a debit transaction. Why? Because trading stock is an asset. So I'm building up assets by buying it. So I'm going to come across to the debit side. We are working in July 2018. Because it is a column total from the ledger, I make it the 31st of July. My details. What is the contra account that is going to be credited because of me buying this trading stock? So I have purchased trading stock. The trading stock is going to be the debit transaction. What is going to be the credit transaction? How did I pay for that trading stock? I paid for it out of my bank account. So the bank account is the contra account. My folio reference is that I got this from the cash payments journal, and the total, my trading stock total from the cash payments journal is 9,700 Rand. Okay, so that is the debit transaction that I have now filled out. Remember, I have to also do a credit transaction because of the fact that my trading stock cost me something. I bought it in order to resell it. There is a cost of sales involved. Here is your cost of sales column in your cash receipts journal. So this is what I'm now going to put across onto the credit side of my trading stock account. So once again, the date is that it is July 2018. And once again, because it is a column total, I must then make it the 31st of the month. My details now. What is my contra account? My contra account is cost of sales, because that is the information that I'm recording here in the trading stock account. I'm recording the fact that this trading stock, which was paid for by the bank account, has got a cost in my business. It's the cost of sales. The folio reference, where did I get this information from? I got it from the cash receipts journal. And my amount is 9,200 Rand. Now I need to balance this account. Because of the fact that I've already taken column totals, means I've already recorded every single transaction from the month of July for trading stock. So there are not going to be any more transactions coming into this account, so I need to balance it. Another reason I need to balance it, it is a balance sheet account section account, so it must be balanced. Also, I've got transactions on both sides of the account, which means I need to balance it. Picture this as a scale. It needs to be balanced. How do I do that? Which side of the account has got the biggest total in it? That would be the debit side once again. So now you will use a ruler. You will bring that total down, 9,700 Rand, down to the debit side there. I must then bring that same total across to the credit side, 9,700 Rand. There is a difference between these two amounts. I need to work out what is that difference. So I use my calculator. 9,700 minus 9,200 is 500 Rand. I'm going to call this the balance to be carried down. I must then, what I've done to the credit side, come across and do on the debit side. But now I'm not going to record this in July. I'm going to record this on the first day of the next month, because this is my opening balance, which is known as my balance brought down. And I put in the same amount that was there on the credit side of 500 Rand. So now we're finished with the trading stock account. You should then go and do your capital account. In your balance sheet section, you must do your transactions on the credit side. Drawings, in your balance sheet section, you're going to do your transactions on the debit side. Let's for now just come down to the nominal account section. I'm not going to do those two with you. You must do those on your own. The nominal account section, let's start with sales, shall we? Now, sales, we've worked out, is income, so therefore it must go onto the credit side of the T account. So we come to our nominal account section of our general ledger. It must be entitled so. And we write out the name of the account that we're going to be posting to. Note that it also has a folio reference. Because it's the first one that I've written down, it's going to be called N1. So we already said on that previous sheet of paper that sales must be recorded on the credit side of the ledger because it is an income. So remember, your sales comes from your cash receipts journal, and it is a column total, so therefore it is going to be recorded on the 31st of the month. So we say it is again July 2018, it is the 31st. What is my contra account? My contra account is the debit version of this amount that I'm going to record now, because this is the credit version. Where does all of the money go that this sales is representing? It is income from sales. The money is recorded in the bank account. That is the contra account. The folio reference, where did I get this information? From my cash receipts journal. How much is my sales amount? It is the column total of 15,100 Rand from the cash receipts journal. So I'm going to record that there. Now, there are no further sales transactions in my cash receipts journal, or you don't record sales in your cash payments journal. There are no further transactions because of the fact that I have recorded everything here in this column. This total here is the total for the month of July. So there's going to be no necessary or no need to record any other sales transactions in this general ledger. So that means I can close off the account. Do I balance it or do I total it? First of all, it's in the nominal account section, which means I must total it. Another reason I should total it is because there are not two amounts on either side. Remember, picture a scale that needs balancing. We've only got one transaction on the one side. So all I do is I just underline this. You're going to use a ruler to say that is my total for the month. I don't need to come and write 15,100 again. I don't need to do that. I just draw my double line and I say there is my total. So that was the sales account that we have now posted to the general ledger. I'm done with that. I can tick it off. I'm not going to do interest income with you. You can do that yourselves. It's a credit transaction, also in the nominal account section. Let's do cost of sales, okay? It's an expense, and because it's an expense, it must therefore be debited. So I will come across to my general ledger. You would have written interest income here as your next account, so it might look a bit different to me, but for now I'm going to just write here cost of sales. Note the folio reference for this account. It is in the nominal account section, so it's N2. I've already just said to you that cost of sales must be a debit transaction because it's an expense, so we come across here. Cost of sales we are getting from our cash receipts journal, okay? It's the column in the cash receipts journal that records how much each of these sales cost us. That was the selling price, that's what we received, but that's how much it cost us to buy the inventory. So this is going to be a column total, which means my date is going to be the end of July, the last day of the month, the 31st of July. What is my contra account? Now, we have actually already worked in the contra account with respect to cost of sales. Do you remember we came across to the, when we were doing the balance sheet section and we were working in our trading stock account, we recorded cost of sales here on the credit side. So this now is going to be the contra account, the contra transaction. We are going to write trading stock as our contra account. And our folio, where did we get this information, is from the cash receipts journal. How much are our total cost of sales? It's that column total in the cash receipts journal. Once again, there's going to be no further transacting here in the cost of sales T account, so we can total it. We're not going to balance it for the reasons I've explained before. Therefore, we just draw a line underneath to show that this account has been totaled. So we have now finished with our cost of sales account, so we can tick it off our list. You would have done that one yourselves. Now I'm going to choose to do one of these expense accounts. You're going to do all of them. I'm going to just, for now, for purposes of time, I'm going to look at the postage account. So it's an expense, so therefore we're going to work on the debit side of the T account. So I come to my nominal account section, and I come to the debit side. And I'm going to name my account. By virtue of the fact that it is the third in my list, it therefore gets the folio reference N3. I'm working on the debit side. My date is the month of July. Now, the day. This postage transaction, if you come to your cash payments journal, because that's where we get all of the information from for postage, because it's an expense and expenses are payments. If you have a look here, there is no column for postage. Postage is recorded here and here in the sundries column. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come to each of these transactions for postage and I'm going to record them individually over here. So I must then take the date for the first transaction, which we see was the 19th of July. My details, my contra account, how did I pay for this postage? The money came out of my bank account. Okay. The folio is that I got this information from the cash payments journal, and that first transaction on the 19th of July was in the amount of 150 Rand. I then go to my cash payments journal and I check where my second transaction was. My second postage transaction was on the 27th of the month. So I come here and I write that it's going to be on the 27th. Once again, my contra account is bank. Once again, my folio is the cash payments journal, and this time I spent 450 Rand on postage. There, I've recorded all of the postage transactions for the month of July. Now I need to either balance or total. How do I know that I must balance? Because, rather total, it's because I'm in the nominal account section. Also, there are only transactions on one side, on the debit side. If I had transactions on the credit side, then I would have to balance this account because of that thing of the scale. I've only got transactions on the one account, so I simply, you use a ruler, I total them. And that is my postage account for the general ledger for the month of July. So now we have posted the postage account to the general ledger. We're done with that. You guys need to do each of these accounts here: stationery, wages, rent, salaries, advertising, interest income, capital, and drawings. Once you have done all of those, your general ledger is finished, and then you move on to the trial balance. Now, I hope you've seen here that there's a standard format. All of your income accounts are credited. All of your expense accounts are debited. Up here in the balance sheet section, your bank account is credited with the information from the cash payments journal and is debited with the information from the cash receipts journal. Here are some rules, okay? If you want to do some memorizing, I would prefer it if you didn't. I would prefer it if you use that explanation that I gave you in the previous video, but if not, that's fine. Do this. Your cash receipts journal, when you are posting your cash receipts journal to the general ledger, you debit the bank account in the general ledger with your total receipts, and you credit all other accounts except for cost of sales. Cost of sales you're going to debit, and you're going to credit the trading stock account. Your cash payments journal, the rule is that you're going to credit the bank account for all transactions. So you're going to take your bank balance from your cash payments journal and you're going to credit it. And all other columns and transactions from your cash payments journal, because they are all expenses, you do debit transactions for all of them. And that, grade 9s, is your general ledger.